So now we're into chapter 9. And in chapter 9, we start dealing with classes and objects. Now, so far, we've created classes of code. And a class needs to have a main. And since we have our class and it has a main, does it always have to have a main? Well, to run, we need to have a main to run it. Now, with this, what we're going to do is we're going to create this class that is test soccer player. And this test soccer player, we will create an instance of the class soccer player. So the class soccer player will have attributes associated with it. At this point, we're not going to have any functionality associated with it. It's just going to be attributes. And traditionally, we'll have a class will have attributes and functionality. And functionality, that's the methods that we've been creating all along. Attributes will be the variables and constants. Now, with that said, it's concepts we've already used. So we're going to have this soccer player class. And this soccer player class, it's not going to have a main. It's just going to have attributes that we will inherit from it. So I'm going to create an instance of this soccer player class. Now, let's start out by saying, what is it that we're going to have in our soccer player class? Well, we're going to have 4 attributes. We're going to have a name, a jersey num, goals, and assists. And if that's the case, we'll go ahead and set that. Public string name, public int jersey num, public int goals, and public int assists. And we see that in curly braces, we have set and get. Now, this is something that was created in C# version 3. And it allows us to, it's called an auto-implemented property. Meaning that when we create an instance of this soccer player, when we refer to name, the get and set functionality automatically goes with it. So I'll talk more about shortly, but we'll just call this formatting is auto-implemented property. And sometimes they'll call it automatic properties. Okay. So with that, if I create an instance of a soccer player, that instance of the soccer player will inherit all 4 of these attributes. So with that said, am I limited to just those attributes? No, not limited to just those attributes, but I get those attributes just by creating an instance of soccer player. So how do we create an instance of soccer player? So we'll say soccer player, my soccer player equals new soccer player. So in essence, what we're saying is, let's use the soccer player class to create an object called my soccer player. And when we do this right here, new soccer player, this soccer player method will allow us to generate our instance of the soccer player class. So now we have our object, my soccer player, that's in our test soccer player class, that we can do whatever we want to with it, and my soccer player has 4 attributes. So let's take those 4 attributes and let's give them some value. Okay. So there's the value that we're going to add to them. My soccer player.name equals Lionel. There's name. And by get and set, it allows us to set those values on our object. So that's happening automatically. And if we go do a couple of write lines, we can output those values. So I'll do a write line. The soccer player is mysoccerplayer.name. Jersey is mysoccerplayer.jerseynum. Goals, mysoccerplayer.goals. Assists, mysoccerplayer.assists. Now, mysoccerplayer is the object, .assists is the attribute. Now, if you think back to things that you've seen in previous code, console dot write line followed by parentheses. It's a method. It's a method associated with an object. It's a console object. Console, so it's functionality built into it. If I create an instance of a string or an instance of an array, there's an attribute that I've been using or you've been using, the .length attribute, and you can access that attribute, the .length attribute. So now I can access the mysoccerplayer.assists attribute and find the value of 35 stored there. So if I run this, the soccer player is Lionel, jersey number 9, goals 8, assists 35. So this is us creating a class here and creating an object in this line that is an instance of that class. We'll dig deeper. We're going to, as we've got, I think, 16 different exercises in this chapter. So this is a very comprehensive concept, and it allows us to reuse code over and over again and modify it or tweak it to suit our needs. And it's something that's very powerful, and I really want you to get used to and become familiar with being able to utilize all the functionalities that's built into it. All right? So I'll see you in the next one, 9-2.